Monica, all yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Steph. And good afternoon, everyone. I hope you have a very good day today. And as we start this last week of briefings here, correct? Before we make a short break. I mean, the veterans here have to tell me. Yeah, Friday is the last day of our briefings, correct? Good. Okay, the President of the General Assembly, Ms. Maria Fernanda Espinosa, has chaired this morning the 55th plenary session at the General Assembly Hall, which adopted the Global Compact on Refugees as part of the report of the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, questions relating to refugees, returnees, and displaced persons, and humanitarian questions, item 65. The resolution on the Office of the High Commissioner for Refugees, which includes the Global Compact on Refugees, was adopted with 181 votes in favor, 2 against, and 3 abstentions. The plenary session is considering several items on reports of the third committee, including social development, advancement of women, protection of the rights of children, rights of indigenous people, among other issues. President Espinosa concluded yesterday her official visit to Qatar. The President of the General Assembly was a guest speaker at the Doha Forum on Saturday. The PGA affirmed that multilateralism through dialogue, negotiation, and international cooperation provides the best platform to discuss and reach agreements through a common understanding. Ms. Espinosa met with His Excellency Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, the Emir of Qatar, and several Qatari authorities. She also visited the Al Shafala Center for Persons with Disabilities and met with leading women from the Qatar Foundation for Social Work. The PGA granted several interviews to media outlets from the region and, of course, abroad. And today, earlier this morning, she granted an interview to a Latin America-based New York Times correspondent. After chairing the session at the GA Hall, Ms. Espinosa is granting an interview to UN News and will take part in the event to mark the Global Compact on Refugees, which will be held at 1:30 p.m. at the Trusteeship Council. She will deliver opening remarks accompanied by the UN Deputy Secretary General and the High Commissioner for Refugees. This afternoon, the PGA will have separate bilateral meetings with the ambassadors of Canada and Ghana, who are co-facilitating the Financial for Development high-level event, and the intergovernmental negotiations on the Security Council process, with the ambassadors there, and in this case is the United Arab Emirates and Luxembourg as co-facilitators. And the PGA will also receive the Secretary of Foreign Affairs of the Philippines in her office later today. And probably in the afternoon, she is also here in the agenda. I see an item. She will grant an interview to Univision. And this is all for today. Do you have any questions? Yes? Joe, go ahead.
Yes, you mentioned a series of committees relating to the Compact on Refugees. Could you provide a little bit more detail about what the projected role and authority is going to be of these committees and how they're going to be constituted, et cetera?
Okay, there were items from the third committee which were voted today. And the Global Compact on Refugees is part of the report of the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees. So there were about 15 items. They are actually in the journal for you.
Okay, then maybe I was
No, it's
confusing
okay.
the
It's
two, but
because
you had ticked off a number of,
Yeah.
it sounded like specific committees.
No. There's actually items that were voted
Items
today from the third committee.
From
Yeah.
the third committee, okay.
Correct.
Is there any envisioning, though, of any mechanisms to be established under this compact? Whether they're called committees or otherwise, to implement it?
No, the compact on refugees, it's actually about now sharing, what you can call the burden on refugees among countries. Basically, how these countries are now going to cooperate in order to, share the load, as you can say. I have the document here. It's a comprehensive document, and this afternoon there will be another event to mark the adoption. Yeah, so I would refer you to the UNHCR. Okay, Evelyn, go ahead.
Right, I understood what was happening with refugees, but could the PGA or anyone else uh, doing the third committee resolutions at least give the name, the subject matter, rather than L516 or whatever? It isn't until people argue about it, if you don't have the full committee booklet in front of you, it isn't until people argue about it that you have the slightest idea whether it's North Korea or Myanmar.
Okay, you are actually making a suggestion that the items should be flagged more clearly, yeah? Yeah. Okay, we take that on board. No, thank you for that. It's very important. Okay, go ahead.
I had a question. There's been a lot of controversy about the Global Compact on migration. So, why do you think the Global Compact on refugee passed almost unanimously with only 2 votes against, 3 abstentions?
Well, basically, this is a decision taken by member states, and there are explanations of votes or statements that member states make, and I would actually invite you to go to the website and take a look at their explanations. On the Global Compact, this is actually, you're talking about the Global Compact on Refugees, which was actually adopted today, voted today. On the Global Compact for Migration, the session is going to be on Wednesday, on the 19th, and there we'll see how member states express themselves. But you are aware that the Global Compact for Migration was adopted already in Marrakesh by consensus. So we'll see how this particular document is now endorsed by the General Assembly on Wednesday. So we have to wait for this particular vote on or endorsement on Wednesday when the GA takes action on this particular Global Compact. But thank you for your question.
You say consensus, but
Consensus
it depends
in
how
Marrakesh.
that's defined.
The adoption- no.
163 out of 193 member states. Sometimes consensus is defined as near, if not unanimous. Obviously, that wasn't the case. There were some major member states, not only the United States, that opposed the Compact on Migration. So is that term being used to describe the decision, consensus? And how is
Yes.
that defined?
Yes, that is the result. The adoption was by consensus in Marrakesh, and now, of course, the Global Compact moves to the General Assembly to be endorsed. And of course, on Wednesday, member states will take action. We understand that this will be a session in the morning, so hopefully, by the time we have our briefing here on Wednesday, we have a result already. So is that all? Thank you very much, and I see you tomorrow. Thank you very much. Have a lovely afternoon.